Chapter 15 The Cow and the Lame Bull. When Parikshit was born, Dhaumya and Kripa had cast his horoscope. They told Yudhishthira that the child had a glorious future. He will be like Ishwaku, the son of Manu, they said. He will honor Brahmins and he will be truth speaking like Rama, the son of Dasharatha. Like Shibi, he will be giver. As for his glory and fame, they will spread to the four quarters like that of Bharata, the son of Dushyanta. In archery, he will be as great as Arjuna and Kartavirya. He will be as stately as Himavan and as patient as Mother Earth. His courage will be that of Bali, and his devotion of Narayana will equal that of Prahlada. He will perform the Ashwamedha and he will learn Brahma Vidya from Shuka, the illustrious son of Vyasa. His name will be remembered on the earth so long as the sun and moon move in their orbit. After he was crowned, Parikshit justified the words of the rishis. He ruled his kingdom just as well as Yudhishthira had been doing. He married Airavati, the daughter of Uttarakumara, and Janamejaya was his eldest son. On the banks of the river Ganga, he performed the Ashwamedha Yaga. There was great pain in the heart of the king since he saw the influence of Kali increasing day by day. He wanted to fight with Kali, destroy him, and restore to the earth her past glory and beauty when his grandfather ruled the earth. Once, on the banks of the Saraswati, a bull was talking to a cow. The cow looked emaciated and she looked like she had lost her calf. Tears were flowing from her eyes. The bull was maimed. He was limping on just one leg. He went near her and said, "Why are you weeping? Why do you look so despondent? You look sick, my dear. It seems to me that it is a malaise of the mind. I can see that some intense pain is gnawing at your vitals. Are you mourning the loss of someone very dear to you? Are you weeping because you cannot bear to see me with three of my legs broken? Are you weeping at the thought that low-born Shudras instead of Kshatriyas will rule you in the days to come? Are you sorry for the Devas who will be denied their share of the Havis in the Yajnas since Yajnas will not be performed anymore? O Mother Earth, are you sad because Indra will not wet you with rain hereafter? Are you sad about the decay of Dharma? Are you dreading the future when men will no longer protect the women? When parents will not be respected by their children? Are you sad because Goddess Saraswati will have to live in the homes of sinful Brahmins? Or because high-born Brahmins will do menial service to their inferiors? Or are you mourning the fate of mankind which will be so immersed in sin, the gratification of senses, that it will never think of the Lord? I know why you are sad. The Lord has been with you and He removed the burden which was choking you. He destroyed Adharma and relieved you. But when He went away, Dharma went with Him. That, I'm sure, is the cause of your unhappiness. Time, the arch enemy of all, has stolen your glory, and the pain in your heart is because of the thoughts of the future. Am I right? The earth raised her tear-filled eyes to the bull and said, Lord Dharma, you know only too well what lies behind this pain of mine. Your questions only serve to make my wounds bleed anew. The Lord has left me, and am pining for Him. The moment He went away, righteousness left me, and with it all the noble qualities for which I have been the home for all these years. I am mourning for you, and all that you once stood for. The Lord, who was the home of all that is beautiful, good, and pure, has left me, and am dreading the progress of Kali. In the form of Krishna, the Lord had placed His dear feet on me, and He had walked on me. I was so beautiful then, because He had sanctified me. I had become proud, perhaps, of my good fortune. To punish me, He has left me, and I do not know what I should do. The memory of those glorious days makes me weep the more, because I weep in vain. As they were thus engaged, out of nowhere, a low-born man who was dressed in the garments of a Kshatriya approached the couple. He began to harass them. With a stick, he was trying to break the one remaining leg of the bull. King Parikshit, who was coming near the place in a chariot, saw this terrible scene and hurried to the spot. He had his bow in his hand, and his other hand was already in the quiver, picking out an arrow. The sight of the cow brought tears to his eyes. In a terrible voice, he addressed the assailant. How can you behave like this? How is it possible for such injustice to take place in my kingdom? In the land which was once ruled by the great Yudhishthira, how could you pluck the courage enough to commit this atrocity when I am the king? He comforted the cow and the bull and said, Whoever you may be, you are rid of this sinner who has been harassing you. I'm going to kill him. Be rid of your fears. Poor bull, tell me who cut off your other legs? Dharma looked at him and said, It is but fitting that a scion of the great Kuru house should speak thus. You are the descendant of those great men for whom the Lord himself took up the role of a messenger of peace, the role of a charity. As for our condition, we do not really know who is responsible for this. When I look around me, I become faint with the many forms of dharma which people talk about. There are the atheists who say man himself is the master of his fate. The gods have neither the power nor the right to influence the lives of men on the earth. Nothing governs man except his ego. There are some others who ascribe everything to the 9 planets, the grahas. They say that fate and grahacharya are but synonyms. Some other talk about karma and say that karma is what matters. Karma it is, which is responsible for everything. And again, there are those who say that one's good or bad fortune is the consequence of one's own nature, swabhava, and nothing else. There are still a few, very few, however, who maintain that there is a God who is beyond the ken of human thought and that he is responsible for everything. Consider, O king, all these views, and you should yourself make up your mind as to who is responsible for this state of affairs. As for me, I really do not know. The king considered his words for a moment and spoke with a smile. He said, The Shastras say that the Naraka which is waiting for the perpetrator of adharma is meant also for him who mentions the name of the wrongdoer. A truly righteous person will never betray the name of the sinner. You speak words befitting a person who knows the nuances of dharma. The more I think on it, the more I am convinced that you are Dharma himself and no one else. Only you can trace so vividly the dearth of purity on the earth. It has been said that penance, tapas, cleanliness, shacha, compassion, daya, and truth, satya, are the 4 legs of dharma. Pride is responsible for the destruction of tapas. Smaya, indulgence and arrogance for that of the other 2. In the Kali Yuga, man can be said to practice dharma only by the observance of truth, and that is the one leg on which you are standing. This Kali is trying to kill truth and replace it with his weapon, untruth. I know why Mother Earth is weeping. She is comparing the golden age when the Lord walked on her with the days to come when sinners will rule over her. But be without fear. I am going to kill Kali. The king dropped his bow and taking up a sword in his hand, he rushed towards Kali.